If your house has a fire extinguisher, it's there because the process says that it's important to have it in the house. But you still have fire brigade, you can still call them. But it's better to have a localized fire and control it right there and then than to call in a fire brigade when the whole building is lit up. That's how you need to see things. As a technology head, as a CTO, as a CIO, as a founder, that you are much better if we are engaged earlier, because then we can contain some of the stuff that will be happening in terms of poor quality experience or product not working or product failing.
Okay, so Corum, can you tell me what is Qualitatum?
So Qualitance is a TMMI level 5 testing company. We are not just a testing company. I think we are an ecosystem now. I believe this is what I like to call ourselves. It's a testing ecosystem, which means that we just don't bring in the services piece. We also have internal training of our resources. Of course, we also hire people from other markets, but also we have a product which helps us deliver a very standardized quality of testing service to all the customers, no matter which country, which region are they in, basically. So we have created this ecosystem over a period of like 10 to 12 years. And the whole idea is when somebody is thinking about software testing, they can think of us as a place where they can go and just figure out everything with us, when it comes to software quality.
What's your specialties?
So we have been very focused and in the areas of, let's say, fintech, banking, telcos, and SaaS products too, in some ways. But we have pretty much like been very go-to partners for a lot of banks in the Middle East, and primarily because we have a huge library of test cases now. For example, we have tested multiple systems, large enterprise solutions, been a part of like multiple rollouts for these banks on the digital side, on the back office, front office, middle office side as well. So yeah, I mean, like at the end of the day, our specialty has now become more about fintechs, banks, telcos, and SaaS products.
If I'm a bank or a fintech company, how can I imagine to work with you?
So typically, banks and fintechs have this pressure from the market because now everybody's using mobile apps and they have their banking apps on their mobile. And the problem with all of these mobile apps is that when operating systems are upgraded, mobile apps are not really upgraded that quickly. So a lot of banks have these internal challenges. I mean, I'm giving you one perspective. There are other things. For example, they are updating their core banking, etc. So their challenge is not having enough skilled resources in-house, and they are asking third parties to come in and do the implementation or the development of those such systems. But then how do you ensure the quality of that product, right, or that implementation? And that's where we come in. So we come in as a third-party neutral testing company, and based on our experience with multiple other customers, we share our knowledge and we share our learnings and we share it with the customers how to go about testing the new implementation, new rollout, and we enable them to get a better perspective on the quality part of the product.
How a client, like when to bring you in, basically?
So I tell customers to bring us in like as quickly as you can because typically it's already too late. But I mean, my idea is always that if you are designing your user stories and you're handing over those user stories to your dev partner or implementation partner, engage us at that time or slightly earlier if you can. Because once you engage us after they have done the implementation and modification and everything, then we are not really doing much for you. I mean, like we are at best like a firefighting company for you then, right? I mean, because now you have very less time to do anything. So we are going to spend less time on test case designing, even less time on execution. We will not be able to test all the features, all the integrations, I mean, testing is a slightly complex topic in that sense because you're not just talking about straightforward workflows. You're talking about edge cases. You're talking about boundary values. You're talking about negative test cases, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of testing that needs to happen. But if you engage us late, then we only have X amount of time and we cannot do everything for you. But if you engage us early, when you are at a very early stage of designing your problem statement and your user stories, that will give us enough time to work with you and deliver you best quality that is possible.
Does it mean that if I'm developing a product or designing an upgrade and I bring you in and then you can already work along with me to make sure this is the product that user would use and then, not so many defects? When, like in the product designing phase already? Or
product requirement phase rather. When you are designing the requirements, not just the designing of the product. I mean, like for example, a lot of these banks, their business teams are defining those user stories for them. Like, okay, what do we want to see in the product or implementation, for example? That is the best time to bring us in. If you do it later, yes, things can be done, but the less time you give for proper test case designing part is gonna be a problem. It's not gonna give us the right amount of coverage. But what now AI is doing, AI is helping us do that part slightly more quickly, right? With AI, you can generate a lot more test cases faster. You can get a lot more coverage. With human intervention, you can even evaluate, okay, what kind of output is there. So things can be done much more faster now. But like the real process is that you engage us as early as you can, especially at the user story level.
But the client, they might say, we know our clients the best, so we should design the product. And then who are you to tell us like what's the requirement should be, right?
Sure. So we are not telling them what the requirement is. We are saying that whatever requirement you are defining, you can tell us so we can write our test cases based on that. So, for example, if you tell us a requirement of, let's say, one functionality, based on our experience, we can also come back to you and tell you that this is not just one feature. Maybe you need to think about part two, part three, part four of this requirement as well, because it is going to come down the road, right? But if they're not, for example, they're saying that, what, we are very clear on our requirement part, then at least it gives us more time to write test cases for that. And again, like you're talking about like hundreds of requirements. I'm not talking about like 1 or 10 requirements. I'm talking about like hundreds of requirements, which will lead to like hundreds of test cases as well, right? So then making sure that we are doing the right coverage, enough coverage is also very critical.
What happened if I bring you in too late?
I mean, like, this is what most of the customers do. Like, they bring us in late. I mean, like, recently I had a customer and we literally told them, listen, we don't want to work, because this is just so late in the game. Like, it's almost like we are going to put our name on the game, on this table, and we are going to be hammered by that, like, because it's late, right? I mean, I really cannot do something that needs 3 months in like 3 days. It's just not possible. Um, but customers do that all the time. I think sometimes they're not even sure in the beginning, and then as they go along through the project journey, they start realizing the value of having somebody come in and do the testing for them. Maybe they figure out that they don't have enough people in house. Maybe they don't understand that they don't have enough time for that, or they don't even have the right understanding of how the testing should be done. But the more later you engage, it's almost always not going to give you that much benefit, in my opinion, than it would if you were to be proactive. So, I mean, like, think about it this way. If your house has a fire extinguisher, it's there because the process says that it's important to have it in the house, right? But you still have fire brigade, you can still call them. But it's better to have a localized fire and control it right there and then than to call in a fire brigade when the whole building is lit up. That's how you need to see things as a technology head, as a CTO, as a CIO, as a founder, that you are much better off if we are engaged earlier, because then we can contain some of the stuff that will be happening in terms of poor quality experience, or product not working, or product failing on the device itself. Then you engaging us later, and then we are saying, oh, you know what, there is nothing to work, and maybe we need to uproot a lot of stuff even at the programming level, and then you go about fixing it, and it's going to take even longer.
And also much more time.
Absolutely, much more money as well. Much
Yeah,
more money. And if you have raised money, for example, then probably you will not even have that much money.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people thought it would be a upfront investment and it's gonna be a cost, but actually it's kind of like insurance
Yeah.
for people. And I think that people underestimated the function of like testing.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
People do
Because
that, yeah.
if you launch a product that has a lot of defects, it's a reputation on stake, right?
Yes.
And your go-to-market is already failing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that you already have competition in place. And if your competition is doing better than you because your product is, for example, failing, or it's not delivering the value, or it's buggy, then people are going to switch over to the competition. I mean, like, every single vertical right now, I think, has like 8 or 10 products as competing for the same space right now. So you are only better off by having good quality. You are definitely worse off if you have a quality problem.
Okay, thank you so much for the information, and I think very much on point as well. And I hope people right now can really like see
Imagine.
like see the importance of QA testing.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.